Welcome everyone to this new episode. Today we have a spectacular guest. His name is actually he like to call Bless Arc, and is actually from India. And welcome.
Hey Max, thank you for having me on.
I'm just gonna do a little introductions for the one that don't know you. Rishabh Wadhwa is a YouTuber and a content creator. He graduated as an architect in 2018, and since then he has been working on Instagram and YouTube channels, both called Bless Arc, to create content in all around the field of architecture. With a following of more than 70,000 on YouTube, and create videos that can help to the young students and professionals navigate into the field of architecture by getting advice and the expertise of architects working all around the globe. So welcome to the show. I'm very happy to have you. I am a big fan of your work, and I am very looking forward for this conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
I would like to start with your name. I love the word blessed because for me it's very powerful. I would like to know the reason behind it. Why did you think they're blessed, and what is your channel like that called like that?
So I started Blazak back in 2014. So I was still in my second year. And the arc part is obviously from architecture, from architects. So that is where the arc part comes from. The blessed part of it, I have always felt a certain amount of grace in my life. Maybe it's my outlook towards life, but I always, in hindsight, everything looks like it came as a blessing, whether there were good things or bad things, because there's always things to learn from anything that happens to you in life. And, keeping that in mind, and I've always sort of felt blessed, and I randomly picked up the name, joined these two words together, Blessed Arc. I don't think I was consciously thinking about it much, but it was just, I want this name, and the next day I think I started my channel with that very name.
And I think that it's very powerful because I really respect when you are very decided in the life and you decide to be someone. And the fact that you are you put your name, the word blessed, I think that it make you the path to be blessed. And you basically are saying, I am blessed. I'm not gonna be blessed in the future. I'm blessed already. And my whole life will be consist in this idea that I'm blessed. And I think that this is very related to happiness, because for me, happiness actually is to feel blessed. Because when you are very blessed, when you think that you are blessed and you are grateful about the things in your life, it's almost impossible to not feel happy. And at the end, it's like a comparison of the things, if you feel grateful about everything that is surround you, everything is like consisted in that idea.
True. I think, everything around you, there is one thing we don't realize. For any individual person, there's no objective viewing. You are looking at things from your perspective. Just like everybody else has theirs, you're looking at things from your perspective. So it just, when you are grateful in life, when you are have a certain joy in life, your perspective becomes a little more joyous towards things. So now when you're looking at everything around you, it just appears sweeter. It's still an appearance. You're still creating that inside of you. It might not be joyful outside, but it's your perspective that matters on an individual level. And 100%. Also, so I'm a big Oprah fan. Every Sunday, Super Soul Sunday, they're like, put it on and listen to that podcast. And even that blessed part and what you were talking about at the start, she has a definition for luck, which is, hard work meeting preparation. Preparation meeting opportunity. So basically, the preparation part is your work, is all that you can do. The opportunities part is not always in your hand. And a lot of times, I don't know if people believe in it or not, a lot of times things come to you in certain ways that are much bigger than how you can physically do them. Like,
100%.
you might not have a hand in how they're coming to you. You will have a hand in preparing for them. You will have a hand in all the hard work that you can do. Like, everything that you can do is still in your hands. Beyond that, how things come to you is not. And I think the blessed part is sort of, uh, let's say, a notion to that. And that is why the grace and blessings.
That's amazing. I really share that perspective. And I would like to talk about the beginning of your, how do you begin in all this content creation journey? First, let's start with architecture. When or how did you know that architecture was for you?
I think I decided back in 10th standard that I wanted to do architecture. Why, I'm not sure. I think it was just, uh, there's this simplistic notion of architecture bringing together the arts and the sciences. I was really fascinated by that idea. And I think back in 10th standard, I decided uh, that I wanted to do architecture. And so I started preparing for it after that. Although I would just say this, I was talking to people all around the world. The architectural degree around the world is not a 5 years degree. Usually it is, for most of the people that I've talked to, it's usually 3 years. And then there are 2 more years of masters that they do. And if people do not want to continue into the profession after 3 years, they don't do a masters and maybe go for something allied. In India, it's a 5 year course, like the bachelor course itself. So you're getting into the course when you're 18. You get out of the course, you've already taken 5 whole years. And it also becomes difficult to change a profession after that. So, but I had decided back in 10th, I had not grasped completely what the profession holds, because you can't, without entering it, without, even in school, what you learn in school is much different from what is out there in the field. Because in the school, you're learning just how to design. In the field, you realize that learning how to design is maybe 25% of the whole thing that you have to do. Now uh, you need to start learning about the business aspect of it, the practical aspect of it, talking to people, coordinating, site work. All of that takes 75% of your time and energy when you're out in the field. So anyway, I mean, back then, whatever I thought, 10th standard, I decided, and that is why I had gone on to pursue architecture.
That's interesting, and I think that architecture is a powerful career, and because the capability that you have to create things is undescribable by words. And I think that that's the reason that architects likes a lot of drawing, because it's an extension of how you perceive the reality into your mind, and it's an extension of how you can communicate your ideas into some little sketches that you do in the paper. And I think that that process of creation is very interesting, because all the people have different process of creation. I would like to know, what is your process of creation? Did you get inspired in something, or what is your starting point to create a story or to create a video?
Strange way. Sometimes, it's just me thinking randomly about stuff. Sometimes I'm just researching. Sometimes a lot of my video ideas come from my friends when we're randomly discussing things, discussing about life. And, ever since you've graduated, you I mean, you don't talk as frequently as you used to once you graduate. But whenever you talk, it's like a long conversation. You have a meaningful talk. It's scarce, but it's more qualitative. And, so when we're talking also, there are some ideas that come up. People, and because now all of my classmates have gone on to different parts of the world, even if I have to invite people, sometimes they recommend me, they know that person, and then they sort of, so all that also happens. But it is quite, I don't have a particular way of how the, especially the idea part comes to me. It just comes. That is the blessed part of blessed star. It comes. But once it does, I love to research. I genuinely think one of the strongest suits that I have is research. I can research the shit out of anything. And I think that is one of the main qualities. um, it helps me learn things faster. If I have to learn something, a new software for making my video, I learn it, because I know this particular thing can only be done by this, and there's no other way. Learn it and let's get it done. So most of my initial part of a video that you were talking about is research, is diving deep into understanding the topic, understanding what it's about, getting different perspectives. Also looking at, if there's a big part in, just like any other field, you look at different things, you look at the practical sides of video making as well, is you're not free to use anything and everything on the internet. So a lot of topics I also see whether I have source material, images and everything that are copyright free, or there are a lot of ideas that I just chuck out because I cannot gather the visual aspect of that video to present it. And so I have to just let it go. I can't physically now fly to some place, especially in COVID. I can't go and get pictures of anything. So a lot of stuff goes like that. But the core of how I start anything is research.
Yes, and actually, I was listening to the episode of that you do of the story of Bianca Ingalls, and I was surprised how do you grab different parts of his life and you put it together in a very smooth way that you can really explain an idea of how is your storytelling. It's the story that of him in a storytelling that you can really grab the attention of the people. And from that, I would like to go into the YouTube topic, because I think they have been a crash stage for 1,000 million people. What do you consider that is the best and the worst thing of YouTube as a YouTube creator?
Oh, um, that's an interesting question. What is the best and the worst thing? I'll start with the worst because it is at the top of my head right now.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't. So I'll tell you, my audience compared to a lot of creators out there, the audience that I have is a very sweet audience. And this, I think Mariana had also told me once when we were discussing. She's like, you have the sweetest audience out there, because I don't get many mean comments. I don't get many. It's even if people disagree with me, it's all they state their points. They put it in a nice way. Even if somebody's rude to me, I learned this from my ex-boss. It's like, even if somebody's rude to you, you don't need to be rude to them back. You can say politely, and once you, reply to them politely, they also in a way disarm and talk to you politely after that. So, but I think one thing about YouTube that I do not like, and it's just it creates a lot of pressure for a lot of creators because of the hatred that is around, and people feel free to voice their dislike for a video. It is for a it doesn't happen to me. I'm just talking about it as a viewer on YouTube, but I've seen it getting to a lot of people. And so that is one thing I do not like. It is on every social media platform, and it will remain on every social media platform. I understand that. I just don't like it. The best part about YouTube, as I'm growing on YouTube, I am having the opportunity to connect with people all over the world. People I would not know otherwise. And just I think that is the best part, that the reach that it has, not even the people and everything, but I mean the viewers and everything and the audience and the numbers that it does. None of all that. I get to connect with people. I get to talk about their journeys, learn their interesting stories, and I think that is one of the best part that a YouTube audience has given me.
I think that I am I am I am I am entering into the journey of uh, looking into different wave of how I can make architecture. And one of the things that I was very interested into draw this concept in my mind is how I can make architecture into a podcast, how I can make architecture into a song, how I can make architecture into different ways. You that you're an architect in a content created. Do you think that architecture it can be made from videos?
uh I mean, yes. I don't think at the end of the day it would be architecture. It And I think, you know, you can do a lot. I think it comes broader into the category of design in that case, and not just specifically architecture. Uh, in my mind, I still think about architecture as something built. You know, until it's not built, it's a nice design. It is. Uh, there are a lot of theoretical projects out there, and but how much ever you create those visuals, you can't physically experience a space through photographs, through videos. And I think one of the biggest parts of architecture is physically experiencing one space. And so I think, you can surely be inspired, but I don't think it would be completely part of architecture. In that case, it would be inspired by it. It would be allied to it. It will be in a broader design category, but I don't think it'll strictly be in the architecture category. Having said that, of course, you can get inspired by architecture and spin off into anything that you want to. The space is unlimited, especially in today's climate, with social media just spreading things like wildfire. You have the opportunity to create whatever it is that you want to create, any piece of art that you want to create, whether those are videos, whether those are renders, images. You want to create a music. uh, who were these guys? I think it was Pink Floyd, right? Three of the band members were studying architecture. They wrote a song about architecture and their experience with it. So you can create, and it comes into a broad category of art. You can create whatever art you want,
Yeah,
especially in today's uh, with today's social media. But again, it's art.
yeah.
It is it is still something virtual. It is still something non-physical. And so that is why I don't think I would categorize it strictly into architecture.
Yeah.
And
But
yeah.
however, I think that I seen in this way that YouTube as a platform and internet evenly is an intangible thing. You cannot touch it. It's a thing that is over there, and there is there, and you connected, and you are connected with the world, and that's crazy. But at the end, you cannot touch it. It's not a physical thing. And the experience, and at the end, is in a space that is not tangible. That is not tangible, but at the end, is in a space. And when you have a space and you create in this space, at the end, yes, it's not a physical thing. However, is something is in a space of creation. And maybe that's the conclusion, that it's not architecture, because architecture is meant to be physical things for humans, and or even spaces for humans, but is something that you create into a space for humans. and it is something relative. It's in at the end you describe it in a nice way, art. And talking about that, I think that you have a gift of a storytelling. You're very good telling stories, and at the end, the guy who tells stories in the past was the most popular guy because they they used to sit on the fire, and there is one guy that is telling you the story about random things, and I think that you have that gift. Uh, Share with us tips to put a story together in such a smooth way. What do you think that is those kind of tips?
When you saying that storytelling thing, the only thing that was coming to my mind is Game of. Have you seen Game of Thrones? So the last episode, even though the last season was whatever it was, I think they could have broken it down and made much better 2 seasons. But anyways, the last episode, and I think it was Tyrion who said that it was one of his final dialogues in that whole scene where he said, uh, it is the man with the greatest story, and who has the best story than somebody who the brand the broken, who now went on to become the king. I don't know why that just came into my mind as soon as you said that. um, but I think the best way, the reason I think I and progressively I've gotten better over time. I've seen my old things. When I started, it was shit. There's no other. It was not good. And but nevertheless, that was where I started from. Nobody starts from 100. Everybody starts at 1.
Yeah.
Right? You don't even start at a 10 or a 20. You start at 1.
Yes.
And I remind myself that when I don't do gym, weightlifting. I've never done it properly. I've done exercises all my life. I've done yoga all my life. I don't do weightlifting that much. But when I start to lift weights, I legit, my mom looks at me like, lift it. And I'm like, I'm trying. So, whatever you do, you start at a place, you start at whatever place you start from, and then you gradually grow up. So, storytelling is also a skill that you just get better with, get better at with time. And I think the way you get better at it is by observing and absorbing other things out there. So, I think one of the greatest, I am a fan of a lot of creators, a lot of uh, YouTubers out there. They don't create anything in relation with architecture. I rarely watch architecture related content on YouTube. My YouTube content, like the feed, is always filled with amazing documentaries, inspiring stories, random news pieces. Like, you would not, and those are all interesting things. You would not think that such a thing would have ever happened. And they tell the story in such an interesting way. So I think it's just learning from them. And so you sometimes realize, as you're watching that, you realize, if nothing else, the way that the person framed this sentence, or how he put this sentence forward, the way he's speaking it, where he paused, I notice these things now more than ever. And that just helps me be a better storyteller, I guess. Is just watching a lot of things that I like and observing sort of why I like it as well.
And I
So
think that
question.
I think that it's an amazing skill, because at the end, if you know how to put together a story, you can sell whatever you want. And at the end, in
True.
architecture, I think that one of the things that are missing is that, at least in my school, was that they don't show me how to sell things, how to sell ideas, how to transform this idea into a story, and that story bring you to a great article to share it with the people.
True.
And I think that one that you realize that aspect, and that aspect have be the secret to grow in social media. So what do you think there is, and what other components would you add into your box of secrets about to grow in social media?
Ah, if you want to grow on social media, one is understanding your platform. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, even though they're all social media platforms, they don't function the same way, right? Uh, and the audience doesn't use the platforms in the same way. So I think one key aspect of understanding and growing on social media is knowing your audience on that platform and how they use that platform. I don't put a lot of stuff out on Facebook anymore, because I've realized a lot of people who use Facebook are just old people. My content, most of it is driven towards youngsters, driven towards uh, young graduates, people. Um, so, even though it wasn't that my content wasn't doing well on Facebook, I just understood that, a different strategy is needed. I still not figured it out, but a different strategy is needed. So one, I would just say, understand the platform that you're on and what kind of it starts with what would you like to see on that platform, and then you can slowly grow from there. The other thing is consistency. uh, you have to be really, really consistent with social media. Social media is a constantly hungry baby.
Yeah.
You need to feed it, and you need to feed it a lot. It's an endless, you just keep giving until you realize that you need to take breaks as well, which I did last year. And I started taking breaks every few months. Then I take like some days off where I do nothing. I'm like, I'm done for a few days. So, but on Instagram, I range from like 2 to 4 posts a day. So either and because of my feed as well, I have to sort of maintain that very feed. So it goes from 2 to 4 posts per day. Uh, with that, you also have to. So when I'm thinking about content for Instagram, I have to think like in piles. I have to keep ideas with me. I have to sort of, if I'm recording stuff, I'm recording the daily facts, I record 10 together so
Yeah.
that I have things to sort of keep rolling out every day. I have a lot of post ideas just tagged up. So that is sort of the preparation that I keep for Instagram, and then I keep rolling them out. YouTube, on the other hand, I realized, with Blessdark, uh, things were doing much better when I was just posting once a week. It needs so now I put in a lot more effort into that one video,
Yeah.
and I just post once a week. There's this channel called Kurz Kazakh, and they create these animated videos online, and they'll explain from complex philosophical things to complex scientific things. Like, what if you blow up a nuke underwater, what would happen? So they create those animations and everything, and they tell you what would I. So they first research about it, and then they create those animations. They tell you. They also have beautiful philosophical videos, all of them animated, and they take a month to create one video. So in 1 month, they just create one video, but when that stuff comes out, that it's quality stuff, right? So, so there is that. You need to sort of understand with social media what your audience wants, and that changes over time as well.
Yeah.
And whatever your consistency rate is, you need to sort of maintain that. If it's one video per week on YouTube, then you maintain the one video per week. If it's 4 posts per day on Instagram, you maintain that 4 posts per day. So on YouTube, I also started a new one called Blessed Dark Daily, which has just started like a few days ago. And there I sort of post all my shorts, all my videos, and trim down portions of that. And I post on that every day, around 3 to 4 videos on it every day.
That's super interesting. I think that I'm agreeing in terms of the two aspects. Know your platform, and really be consistent in your content. And one of the things that I'm facing right now with this podcast actually is lack of time in lack of energy into, because I have two jobs and also I run two podcasts. So it's crazy, and and
That's
of
really
course I have a
crazy.
life. I need to sleep, and I have a fiance to make happy, you know. And in this super I wouldn't say hard, but it's super, it's drawing you with all your energy. And I think that one of the things that we was talking behind the call was that you dedicate 100% to share content in social media
Yeah.
and to create content. How is going that so far? How is going that when it became financial viable for you to dedicate 100% into this?
So, I had a job till February. I left that job after since March. And so I was in the same boat. I mean, not as much work as you, but I was still sort of creating content for me. And my other job was also creating content. So I was creating content for the company as well. And so there was a time where when I used to work for that company, I used to wake up and I used to leave my house at 7 in the morning, reach, and I used to come back at like 12:01. So 10 to 6 I used to work for the company, and whatever work I had for the day. Before that and after that I used to do work for BlessDark. And my boss also knew that. One of the reasons he hired me was looking at BlessDark, looking at my content. He really liked it and he wanted similar things for his company. So he was also very, very supportive of that. So that is how I used to dedicate my time. Since I've sort of left my job, I would just say things have become easier in terms of now I can put my mind to 10 different places together. Like I'm still doing all the work I need to do, and yet sort of preparing and doing whatever it is that I need to do for maybe 10 videos down the line as well, and creating good stuff, connecting with more people. So I have time for a lot more things. One thing that I'm doing is I am not taking let's say my time lightly. And when I say that, what I'm trying to say is a lot of times people in this sort of hustle culture forget that you are in a way a machine that you need to shut down every night, a machine that you need to feed, a machine, everything. All your thoughts are also at the end of the day biochemical reactions. They are a huge part of that is what you put into your body becomes. And so in that terms also I've started taking care of myself much better, whether it is in terms of exercise, whether it is in terms of sleep, or it is in terms of food. Because right now I'm also back home. Pandemic times, everybody sort of moved back home. We had a second wave. Right now we might have a third wave soon, I'm not sure. So we're still home, everything is still shut down. So
Yeah.
there's that. But staying home, the first wave, we were all eating junk and doing whatever, but that took such a toll on everybody's mental health. And this time around, at least at my house, everybody's much better because everybody exercises, everybody eats better, and that sort of forms the basis of how much energy you have throughout the day. So I think with BlessDark also, I genuinely, I think, have more energy because I'm taking better care of myself. And then the financial part of it, that was one big question of um, when I was leaving my job is, the reason you have a job is to sort of earn
100%.
money. And then you do your side, you want to grow whatever you want to grow, but at the same time you also want to keep earning, and that is why you keep the job. And that was the baseline for me. That is why I was doing my job and nicely each and every day. Is, you know how much ever you like it, for me it was a stepping stone. It was always a stepping stone. It was not where I eventually just want to final place. It was a stepping stone. So I questioned myself a lot before leaving my job. And at the end of the day, I think my channel is still not as much financially viable as I would like it to be. It is, I'm not saying it is not. It is at a much better place where it was a year ago. I couldn't even think of where my channel is right now. But it's still not at a place where I want it to be. So I'm sort of also looking at different ways that I can monetize the audience, monetize the channel, and earn more money from it. I think it's a process that keeps evolving as time goes by as well, and you just get better at understanding, what are the different ways with which you can earn while doing what you like to do.
Yes.
So that just gets better with time. I am so it sort of all of the things came together at the same time. I left my job, came back home, and as soon as I came back home, I think within a few weeks the second wave hit and hit hard. So everything was shut down once again. The whole city streets are empty, everything is shut down, and so we were any which way we were all forced back inside, which you know again, it gave a lot of time to people to spend online, to sort of engage with content, to create more content. And so, yeah, it has been going well since then as well. Again, it's not completely where I want it to be, but it's getting there. And it's a process.
Yeah.
Once you decide to take a leap, you take that leap. Even if things don't work out, you can always, uh, you know, have a plan B in mind. You don't need to thoroughly think it over, because I think the more you structure your plan B, you might not work on your plan A.
Yes.
But but be practical about it, and uh, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You gave it your all.
Yeah.
And and I've always had this in mind. If Blessed still at this point also doesn't work out, I'll find something else to do.
Of course, and
Uh,
that then you basically have a great experience in that process.
yeah, exactly. I mean, there's nothing at the end of the day, keeping this in mind, when you die, there's nothing that you're going to take with you.
Yeah.
At all. Whether it's your experience, whether it's your money, whether it's anything that you accumulate, you are not going to take anything with you. So, if one chapter is over, you let it be over. And if it's really over, I mean, you do everything that you can. If it at the end, you take that leap when it feels right. If it doesn't work out, change directions. But one thing is, don't keep changing directions every few while. You won't get anywhere if you keep changing directions every little while. So if you like a path, walk it, keep walking it. If it doesn't work out, you can any which way go on to another path. Life is endless, life is limitless.
Yeah.
And there are loads of possibilities out there. You just have to try things out.
Yes, for sure. And I think that I'm agree with you in terms of how do you see the life that, hey, we only have one life. Let's let's have fun and
It
do
it
whatever
has
we
become
want.
like that much more since the past, I think, a year or so now. Uh, because again, I had gotten, since the past year or so now, I've gotten much more into practicing yoga every day, doing meditation every day. And I also did not realize how much practicing something every day can help alter your mindset and, better your perspective towards life. But it has.
Yes.
Again, because it's biochemical reactions, your brain
Yes.
at the end of the day. So you don't even realize it's happening, but slowly and steadily it does. And you just get more chill in life.
I agree. I agree. Well, we are having the final part of this podcast. Um, I would like to know two things. One, give me your top 5 architects, your favorite architects.
Okay.
It's not necessary that it can be one. Just give me 5 that you really, really think that are the best for you or your favorite thing.
Daniel Libiskin is one.
Master,
Uh,
100%.
yeah, more than anything else, I love the thought that goes in behind his projects.
Yeah.
So
actually
there's
it's
that.
my favorite architect, and actually I met him in New York. It's a
You
great
did?
guy. Yeah,
How was it?
it's actually back in the past I was president of the Studio Association in Honduras, and I invite him to a conference. For a number of reasons, he cannot attend. However, he do uh, a webinar by video call. And I remember
Okay.
that he told me like, okay, Max, I never do this. Like, it's gonna be my first and the last time that I'm gonna do it. And gonna do it for your letters. I really share your passion and your way of thinking, and I'm gonna do it for you. And I was like, wow, that means a lot for
That's
me.
amazing.
So there is this. I think 1 year ago, I went to New York because I have a meeting with Bianca Ingos, and I write Daniel, hey Daniel, can I go to say hi? And he told me like, hey, come. And when I met him, I see a little bit. I have another perspective. I think that he was like much older than you see. However, he looks so young, but with so much energy. I was impressed. He looks like a guy of 25 with that same energy, and I was like, wow, this guy is amazing. So that's my story. I wish I can do a podcast with him in the future, or at least
That'd be amazing.
having a nice conversation with him.
That's amazing. So yeah. All right. So there's Daniel Leviskin. So I would tell you 5 architects, but I do not all
Yeah,
like them just for their design. There are different aspects that I like about each architect. So I think one of them is Zaha.
of course.
And Zaha Hadid, the reason I admire her is not just because of, obviously there are a lot of forms, a lot of buildings of hers that I like, but what I like most is her journey.
Yeah,
And you know, it is more about her character, it is more about her strength, uh, and she going on to achieve and creating such a big empire is what I am much more fascinated by in her. Is I think till today, when I see around me as well, it's not very hard to notice. There's always this thing about, you know, that women are not treated equally. If you actually open your eyes, they're not. In a lot of fields, in a lot of ways, in each and every day, uh, from the smallest, from household level to a top CEO level, they're not. And in that case, when you see such a successful woman and hear about her stories and everything that she had gone through, she took 10 years she didn't build anything for 10 years.
yeah.
And I was just thinking, first of all, first my mind would be, how was she sustaining herself for 10 years? And you know, but even though she had a lot of appreciation for her work, none of the work was built. She had appreciation for a lot of her work, but it's her journey that sort of really inspires me. So there's Zahadid. Um,
Actually, I have another story for that. It's related to that. I met this guy, Patrick Schumacher.
yeah,
And in the same journey, I was president. So I invite Patrick to come. He really came to do a conference here. And he was telling in the lecture about that he basically worked for Saha 10 years, like almost for free. It's just her vision and her passion about in the
yeah,
specific way of how to see the life in architecture. And they do all these 10 years competitions and competition. And Saha used to say, hey, we're gonna win that one, don't worry. Imagine being 10 years like that. Come on.
like imagine 10 years,
That's
giving
crazy.
your 10 years to something, even though I think they kept winning things. They did win things within that 10 years. It's not like they did not at all. But before the first project could actually be built, That opportunity came after 10 years.
Yeah.
And just sticking to your guns for a whole decade.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Uh,
crazy. It's crazy. Even
yeah.
even Daniel, you know, Daniel first his first
Yeah, I
building
think,
was 50 years when he was
yeah,
50 years. Like, come on,
true.
when 50 years is
I think his very first was a Jewish museum, right?
yes,
If I'm
yes.
not wrong.
He's
Yeah.
the first one. He was professor and he was musician, but it's amazing. It's amazing. That's consistency. Consistency is the
Yeah.
key of everything. So we have the Daniel and
And
Saha.
Zaha.
The
Yeah.
other three?
The third I would say is BV Doshi. I've been hearing a lot of his talks lately, and it's not just his way of talking about architecture. His just outlook towards life
Yeah.
is something that I relate to nowadays a lot more. When he talks about a lot of the Indian systems of yoga, of education, of living your life, I think that is something right now I resonate with a lot. So I think, and then I can see how that is translating into the spaces that he creates.
Yeah.
So whether it is, the play with light, the play with natural elements, understanding. Sometimes it's very very basic, that you go to a building and you suddenly just feel better in that building. There's something
100%.
about that building is just you can't even pinpoint what it is. It's just attractive.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, but it also just feels better. Even the climate inside feels better because the architect could understand simply that, a user how he would want to behave inside,
Yeah.
and at he built his own office and he made it subterranean because Ahmedabad, where he built his office, gets really really hot. Gets
Yeah.
really hot. Like the roads one year started melting. It's that hot.
Yes.
So he made it subterranean, and inside his building it's much cooler.
Yeah.
So there is that aspect. When an architect can just make you feel good in their buildings, I think that is a very big
100%.
plus for me.
100%.
Then there is Vyake, and the
Okay.
reason
Yeah.
the
Okay.
reason
It's my
yeah
role model.
the reason I like him is he's a great storyteller. I think
Yeah.
he can
He's
his
super good.
talks.
He's super
Yeah.
good in this profession to be an architect because he sells the idea so good.
True. A lot of people don't realize, in architecture, just like in any other profession, any other business, it is a lot about selling your ideas, not just about creating them, not just about, obviously, you have to do all of that. You have to be good at what you do, but you also have to be really good at how you sell it, how you present it.
Yes.
So I think he does that really well. And that is something people can learn from a lot. I've seen a lot of architects create amazing things, but they're not good speakers. They're not able to sell their design, even though I know they put their heart and soul into their design and created these amazing things. They're not able to talk about it in a way that would feel interesting.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that a lot of people can learn from.
100%. And
That's
what is your
4.
last one?
Let me think. I think I would say there are loads of names coming to mind, but I think I would just pick Charles Correa. Again, just like BV Doshi, you go to his buildings, you just feel good. I didn't know for the longest time. So Charles Correa in my own city, Jaipur, has built 2 buildings.
Oh.
One of the buildings, so I used to just admire, I used to look at that building while we used to drive by. And I used to look at it and like, yeah, this looks good. And then I found out he built it. I'm like, oh, that is why it looks good.
that happened to me when I was, I think, in Florida, near to Miami, and I was like in a building in a university, and the university looks amazing. It was like, wow, this thing is just out of the world. And I remember that I was with an aunt, and she told me like, "Hey, you need to go to see this building. You wanna like?" And I was like, "Oh, come on, this building is too spectacular to regular guys can be built it." and I found out that it was built by Santiago Calatrava, and I was sure that he was
Of,
a special
I
person.
mean, Santiago Calatrava, all his buildings, I don't know about, his buildings are pieces of sculpture.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think all his buildings are just, I've never seen his buildings, like, I've never been physically to any of his buildings, but all of them just look good.
yeah.
And if nothing else, you would know that a Santiago Calatrava project will look good
Yeah.
and look amazing and look, it'll catch
Yeah.
your attention for sure.
It has a very clear signature into the buildings.
True.
So, hey, blessed arc. I feel very comfortable in this talk. Fortunately, this is the end of the conversation, and I hope that you guys that you share the experience with us have a having a good time like me in this night conversation with Richard. And come on, if you went this far, go follow. Like we are almost friends right now, so go follow. We're gonna share more content. Please go to Bless Arc YouTube channel, Instagram, in all the social media. You're gonna enjoy his content. He is it's a pleasure to have you, and thank you for all this talk and this space in your agenda.
Anytime. It was a pleasure to be here, and I had a great time. Usually I don't like to talk about myself a lot, but I had a lot of fun today, and thank you for
That's
that.
amazing. That's amazing. Okay, see you guys. Bye bye.